Hello, everybody. I decided to make a short video. Uh, I haven't posted anything for a while, except a fortnight ago I went to the Colours War Games show at Newbury Racecourse, and it was a fairly good day. I mean, I didn't buy an awful lot, one book and a paintbrush, which is usual for me. I seem to collect them. Like most of us, the great days of some 10 years or so ago when I used to wait for these shows eagerly in order to pick up a couple of books and sets of soldiers, that's long gone. I mean, in common with most of you, I would suppose, I look online and order online, and I'm kind of sorry about that. It's a good thing in one way, but it's certainly nice to go and see people and talk to people. I mean, I'm not a war gamer as such, but um, I had some fascinating conversations and learned quite a bit about the hobby from several people there, and that's a great thing, the camaraderie. For myself, I work in isolation in this hobby. I don't really have people around me or close to me that are interested. So it tends to be you guys online, are that kind of family, as it were. Um, what you see in front of you is basically the Crusoe uh, Long Tom, I believe it was called, gun, Boer War gun, which I've just finished painting. Quite a nice model to assemble. In addition to that, I've got a couple of other things going on here. British 15 pounders, similar for the Boers. British artillery crews. Um, they. I was quite pleased. I like this range of figures. Um, the previous sets that came out, I found one of them. I don't know where the rest of them are, but this is the previous Boer War British infantry, and it's not terrible, but it's in my opinion, it's not great either. There was a lot of flash, and the new ones are much nicer mouldings. I finished all the infantry, two regiments of Highlanders, and Black Watch, and I think it was the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. Not getting a very good focus on there, but yeah, it was a nice chance to do another period fairly relatively cheaply. That's a bit better. They've come up. They're not as shiny as they look on screen, but my anti-shine matte varnish, I don't know whether I didn't stir it sufficiently, but it didn't do what I normally hope it would do. It really tones down the color, the shine. Uh, as I say, I'm very pleased with them. The old set, um, yeah, that's a lot. Well, I suppose you could say it's a lot more toy soldier like. Um, the other sets, as I say, I've done. You know, this is what happens to all my hard work. It gets chucked into these little compartments and probably never sees the light of day again. But I've been pleased, as I say, with them. I mean, I've done better. I'm not claiming to be a great painter, but I've done um, better painting probably in the past. I mean, for example, I did some early Jacobite Wars figures um, a little while back, and I spent some time on these these red coats. I'm usually one of those that just splashes on the scarlet and puts a bit of wash over the top and hopes for the best. These, I followed a guide from Wargames Illustrated, and it involved about 5 separate coats of different reds to give the impression of a fine officer like this with an expensive red coat, and someone who'd been on campaign for a few months. So that technically was probably my my finest hour, as it were. But I do like these. I'm not saying I've not painted these to the best of my ability. I really haven't. Um, but what I do like is there's just something about the mouldings. They have got accuracy, but at the same time they've got something of the old Britain's Boer War toy soldiers about them. It just comes across for me, you know, and yeah, I'm actually fairly pleased with those. I did some painted up with black webbing as King's Royal Rifles, the only regiment there to serve over there with black webbing. And as I say, these are not as shiny as they look, but it's certainly my anti-shine matte varnish has not lived up to its name in this case. I did actually give it a good stir, but anyway, I'm not totally displeased. As I said, it gives it a kind of toy soldier look, I suppose. It's you know, it's I'm fine with it anyway. This is my very messy work table. The only other thing was a couple of books with the flag to Pretoria, 2 volumes. They're like the old telephone books. It's 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 very heavy. Let me see if I can get a better view. Yeah, they are hefty volumes. I got 2 of these for £20, so £10 each, which I consider not bad for a book 120 years old. You've got a map of the campaign area here. I mean, it's hard to. These are so heavy, these books. The map was a bit torn. I had to do a bit of repairing. As these things are, I think they can get torn very early on. You know, it's not an easy thing to handle, but nevertheless, the illustrations are what do it for me. It's the book is very much, you know, of its time. I mean, it takes a British point of view, of course, and it takes the British point of view very, very much in the forefront. Having said that, it does criticise the colonial administrators, which is, you know, that's quite something for the time. They've not been entirely blind to British mistakes. The illustrations are, as I say, beautiful. I mean, in many ways, they're better than the pictures. There are a number of pictures, including one famous one. I think it's in this particular one, but of a trench full of British dead. Very poignant photograph, and yeah, it's a wonderful book. It is a wonderful, although you know, obviously, it's probably not as accurate as the retellings of what actually happened. It's very much from the British point of view, but it's actually a lovely book. As I say, I consider for £10, a 120-year-old book in relatively reasonable condition to be a fairly good purchase. Yeah, it's primarily illustrations for the Illustrated London News and similar. and it's all very much a flavour of the times. I mean, lots of photographs. Again, they've reproduced some wonderful illustrations. That's volume one. You know, same thing with volume two. Not in bad shape considering the age. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I find it curiously fascinating, the Great Boer War. I mean, it wasn't. You know, it wasn't necessarily up there with the Zulu Wars or the Dervish campaigns, but you know, there's something about them. I always very much associate the the war with the Britain's toy soldiers that were released at the time to commemorate the war, and you know, there's something fascinating about it. It being the precursor to khaki and the horrors of the trenches, but with a little bit more of the old colonial flavour to it. As I say, I'm not short of illustrations. Every single page has got something on it, and they are really very nice. I'm just going through. Yeah, it takes you from 1899 right the way up to 1901, the end of the war. So fairly comprehensive maps at the front on both of them, and yeah, the illustrations really, I find them to be very inspiring. I mean, I don't know how long this fascination with the Boer War will last. Um, I recently picked up a book which I'll get and show you. Um, Sorry, my production values are as bad as ever. It's basically point and shoot with me, as it were. At the War Games show, uh, Colours, I picked up a book, Nez Perce, in the campaign series, and that led me on to this book. This was basically the pursuit of one of the last groups of Indians um, from their land up towards Canada, and it just I found it very curious because it was primarily never more than about 100 or so Indians on one side at any one time, fighting against around about a similar number of cavalry and infantry. A couple of massacres, as they're called, of US troops caught out, and for the most part, it's slightly lesser known accompaniment to the great, you know, campaigns of Custer. A lot of people didn't cover themselves with glory. There was a lot of brutality on both sides. The campaign book uh, from Osprey, the chap actually writes a very politically incorrect way. He's not admiring the Indians at all. I mean, there's no question, obviously, that they were harshly treated, but he does point out some of the atrocities committed. Whatever you think, um, you know, it was a fairly nasty little war if you fell into their hands, and I just found it very interesting. Its beauty lays in the small number of figures that you would need if you were going to recreate some of these battles. But yeah, I'm pressing on with adding some things to the Boer War set. Uh, 3 colonial general service wagons. Um, they're you know, they're really rather nice, and these obviously are the Strillet sets that I've finished already. Just cut the fronts off the boxes. Some of the, you know, it's obviously photoshopped and it's a bit crude, but anyway, it's they're very nice sets, and it's from Ukraine. So I was pleased to support them. And as I say, this is my terribly shambolic um, work table, if I can dignify it with such a name. I hope you're all well. I hope to post a bit more frequently, and it's just when you get time to do these things. As I say, I'm so pleased with these, not because they are great examples of my work, such as it is, but because with the onset of a few health problems, you know, sight not quite what it was, and above all, I get very shaky hands, and so it's actually a great effort to do some of the finer points of the painting. But yeah, I'm so pleased with these, and they're very ordinary, I know, in terms of general quality, but I'm pleased with them, truly. Anyway, I hope you're all well, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you if you stayed with me this long. Bye bye.